Okay, so it's back to school time and you're gonna see a lot of videos on YouTube of these back to school laptop guides. Keep in mind that some of it is endorsed content, so just be aware of what you're watching. But also if you're looking at stuff and you're seeing a recommendation of a back to school device and it's like a $3,000 or $4,000 gaming laptop, something's wrong. So in front of me are more realistic options. These are all reasonably well priced. And before I get into the individual things, I wanna talk about just two kind of important things to keep in mind when it comes to purchasing a back to school device. Number one, value is really important. Like, student debt is no joke. You want to keep these things as inexpensive as possible, and you're probably going to be looking at used or refurbished stuff for the best possible value. There's some new stuff here as well, but oftentimes you're going to get the best value when it comes to older devices. Secondly, are just the idea of gaming laptops. I cover a lot of gaming laptops on my channel. They're awesome, but for most people, they're not the best kind of back to school device. They're bigger, they're thicker, they're heavier. Like, everything about them they're not meant for travel, like especially for battery life. If you need to bring this thing to school and run between different classes before you bring it back home, you're gonna bring the AC adapter with you. It's just a lot more weight than stuff that's designed for portability. Okay. I'm gonna start with like the cheapest stuff and then work up from there. So the cheapest device I have here is this. This is the Acer Aspire 5. This is incredibly well valued for the price tag. There's a $300 AMD version and a $350 Intel version. These are both really good options for the money. You get a solid keyboard, you get a decent screen, good trackpad, like the processing power and everything that you would need in a kind of laptop package is done very well at this price point. It's not perfect, right? The screen isn't super bright. I wish it was a little bit brighter, but it's hard to complain about that for 300 bucks. This device is shockingly good for the money. It honestly makes me feel like they're making like 50 bucks at most on each device. It's bizarre how cheap they can sell this thing for. Okay, secondly, or the next devices that I'd want to talk about are the $600 to $700 devices. Now, the biggest difference between these and the $300 Acer I just mentioned is mostly going to be durability and just build quality. These are just better made. The first one up is the XPS 13. This is the newest model, but the one I'd actually recommend is the 9350 from 2015 and 2016. Carbon fiber deck with a good keyboard, good trackpad, and it's just a really solid device overall. It's the reason why it's such a popular device over the years. You can get that thing on Amazon and eBay for around 600, 700 bucks. Pretty solid pickup. The other one that I like in this pile is the Acer Swift 3. This is a new device and they did a great job with it. The one weakness I would say is actually the keyboard, and this would affect people that are buying stuff like this for back to school. The keyboard is a lot softer than I'd like. It's definitely something you can get used to. The layout's fine. It's just that the responsiveness of the keys is not as good as the other devices in this kind of price point, but good overall device. Next up, this is actually my favorite of the bunch. This is actually crazy that they're getting this at this price right now. This is the Surface Laptop. Well, this is the Surface Laptop 2, but the one I'm talking about is the Surface Laptop 1. You can get that for 630 bucks on Amazon right now, and it is such a good value at that price point. Fantastic keyboard, great screen, and for the people that want it, it has pen support, which is great for students. This is my favorite of the bunch at that price point. Like, when this thing launched, it was way more expensive than 630 bucks. So yeah, great device for the money. Last one is the Asus options. They have a ZenBook 13, ZenBook 14. I've reviewed both of those. I've reviewed all of these on my channel, so if you want details, I'll link them below, but this is also available for around 650 bucks. It is a really solid machine, and if you want, you can configure it with an MX150, which is a more powerful GPU. All four of these devices, though, are just really solid. I feel like you can't go wrong with any of them. My personal favorite is that Surface Laptop, just because I feel like for students with that really nice battery life and keyboard, it hits all the things that I would want as a student. All right, once you get past that $700 price point, you start getting closer to $1,000 and once you're at like $900, $1,000, you can get some really good stuff. The first thing, like if you're interested, if you're someone that really wants a MacBook, the MacBook that I would recommend right now for students is without a doubt the MacBook Air. The only other option that you might be considering is the MacBook Pro 13, which is around, I don't know, 200 bucks more than the MacBook Air, but the biggest thing you're getting with the Pro is just stronger processing power. Most people don't need it. If you're a developer and that's the stream you're going in, then sure, absolutely get the MacBook Pro because the processor is more capable for development. But for most people, MacBook Air is the option. if you want to go with Apple's MacBooks. Okay, another device in that $1,000 price point right now is the XPS 9560. This is probably my favorite of all the devices I've mentioned in this video. This thing retailed for like $1,500, $1,600 a couple years ago. It's now available for $950 on Amazon. This has a huge battery, 97 watt hours, a very powerful system, upgradable RAM, SSD. The whole package is really solid. It's got a nice screen, carbon fiber deck, solid keyboard. If you're looking for a more premium laptop at a fairly reasonable price, I would definitely check this thing out. It's, again, a refurb option, but it's got the whole Amazon refurb thing, so you can send it back for 90 days or something like that. It's a solid option. Okay. I have not mentioned many two-in-one devices, any two-in-one devices until now. So I personally don't enjoy using two-in-one devices all that much. But if I had to pick one as just like a universal recommendation, it would definitely be the Surface Pro devices. These feel so much better to me than any other manufacturer's attempt at some kind of hybrid or two-in-one device. There's something about just the way these things feel in your hand, like they just feel like actual functional tablets. Any of the screens that flip onto the back side of it, like they just don't feel nearly as enjoyable and as inviting to use. So the Surface Pro has my top pick. There's another variant, the cheaper Surface Go, which has a much smaller screen. I feel like a 10-inch screen for like a daily kind of everyday school device is probably not the best option, but it's definitely usable as like a secondary device. Okay, let's talk about gaming laptops to wrap this up. Now, I said before, unless you can actually use the processing power or the graphical power of these devices, I would stray away from them just because you're just, you're paying more for stuff that doesn't really cater well to traveling and stuff like that. All right. There's two devices that stick out to me as being the best value on the market right now when it comes to kind of sub $1,000 price point. First is the Legion Y530 or Y540. I've done reviews for both of those. These are the Lenovo entry-level gaming laptop, very solid. And there's also the Acer Nitro 5. So this is around, I think these start at $600 if you look at last year's model, but the current version is around $900. These are both solid. I would say in terms of just raw value, Nitro 5 is better, but because of how just plain the Legion devices are, I much prefer the design aesthetic. Like if you're pulling this out in class, I don't know, there's something about the Nitro 5's red that just pops out a little bit more. But the Legion, it looks pretty clean. Now, if your budget allows for it, and if you can somehow trick your parents into buying a gaming laptop that's a little bit more expensive, the Predator Helios 300 from 2019 is a great value, but it's still a very expensive machine. So that basically wraps up this video. Now, I didn't go into detail on every single one of these. I've done reviews for every single one of these devices. So if you find one that's interesting to you, you can check out the links below, but keep in mind that some of them are of limited quantity. So if you're interested in something, you probably want to pick it up sooner than later. But that basically wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys do well in school. Like, good luck in your school year. I hope you guys picked up some kind of device that is of appropriate price. And yeah, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.